In the summer of 1944, as the dust and smoke of Normandy gradually lifted over villages shattered by relentless bombardment and fields charred to black, a name began to reverberate through the ranks of the U.S. Army, Lafayette G. Poole. To many, he was known by a variety of nicknames: War Daddy, the American Panzer, the one-man armored division. But to the soldiers who fought alongside him, he was something simpler, yet far more profound. The man who somehow always found a way to bring his men home alive, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. There was a calm, magnetic authority about him that inspired confidence even in the most terrifying circumstances. A presence that seemed to reassure men amidst chaos. Poole's story began far from the ravages of European battlefields, in the quiet, open fields of ODM, Texas. Born on July 23, 1919, he was a tall, broad-shouldered young man with a natural athleticism and a work ethic carved from the land he grew up on. Machines fascinated him from a young age. Tractors, motorcycles, automobiles, anything with an engine or gears. He thrived on speed and the thrill of competition, whether racing friends down dusty roads or tinkering late into the night to improve an engine's performance. Though he was not naturally combative, he possessed an inner resolve that revealed itself whenever he was tested. That quiet confidence, calm under pressure and measured in thought, would become the hallmark of his leadership years later, a quality that set him apart in a world descending into war. In 1941, like many young men of his generation, Poole was drawn to the call of service, driven by a combination of patriotism, adventure, and a desire to test himself in a world increasingly engulfed by conflict. The U.S. Army offered him a pathway out of rural Texas and into a sphere where his talents and courage could be measured against the harshest realities of war. He enlisted in the 3rd Armored Division, Spearhead, a unit that would later carve its name into European military history through audacious attacks, innovation in armored warfare, and sheer determination. This division was at the forefront of the mechanized approach that defined World War II tank engagements. At Fort Polk, Louisiana, Poole immersed himself in the rigorous life of a tank crewman. Amidst knee-deep mud, sweltering heat, and the constant roar of engines, he learned the complex rhythms of armored combat, how to maneuver heavy machinery across treacherous terrain, how to coordinate fire with precision, and how to survive the intricate ballet of steel and fire that defined tank warfare. From the beginning, he exhibited an almost instinctive grasp of tactical principles. He absorbed every lesson, scrutinized every movement, and noted every mistake, not only his own, but also those of his peers. Instructors quickly recognized that he was not content with following orders. He had the mind of a commander, someone who would lead with strategy, foresight, and an unwavering sense of responsibility. By the time he shipped to England in late 1943, Poole had already formed the nucleus of a crew that would become legendary. This core team was composed of bow gunner Wilbert Jr. Richards, a man whose steady aim complemented Poole's instinctive leadership; driver Willis Oler, whose hands moved with practiced precision over the tank's controls; assistant driver Delbert Buggs, whose calm under pressure steadied the crew; and gunner Wesley "Baby" Harris, whose sharp eyes and quick reflexes made him a lethal partner in battle. Together, they formed an unshakable unit, a family bound not by blood, but by trust, shared danger, and the unspoken understanding that each man's life depended on the other's. Poole did more than lead. He nurtured, protected, challenged, and inspired absolute loyalty among them. By the summer of 1944, after the D-Day landings, Poole and his men landed in Normandy to find a continent engulfed in chaos. Their first Sherman tank, In the Mood, quickly became a symbol not only of their fighting prowess, but of the unrelenting courage of its crew. The terrain was merciless, dense hedgerows offering perfect cover for ambushes, villages transformed into fortresses, and fields scarred by shell craters. Yet Poole's confidence never faltered. He moved with a fluidity and decisiveness that made even the most chaotic battlefield seem ordered. He became known for striking swiftly and with ferocious precision, often leading his platoon into the heart of combat, where danger was greatest. His coordination with his crew was near flawless. Every command executed almost instinctively, as if his voice were a natural extension of their own reflexes. Poole's tactical insight and split-second decisions often caught the enemy off guard. The crew responded to his commands with the efficiency and precision of a single living organism, a testament to the trust and cohesion he had cultivated over countless hours of training and shared risk. In their first major engagement near Colombier, Poole's tank spearheaded a charge that shattered a German defensive line. Within 15 minutes, multiple enemy positions and armored vehicles lay destroyed, marking the beginning of a legendary streak that would define his career. Over the next 83 days, from the fields of Normandy through Belgium, Poole's tank crews achieved astonishing results. They destroyed or captured over 250 armored vehicles and self-propelled guns, neutralized 12 enemy tanks, and took nearly 1,000 soldiers prisoner. No other Allied tank commander in the war would reach numbers even remotely comparable. Yet Poole himself remained remarkably modest about these accomplishments. For him, numbers were secondary to the lives of his men. Time and again, when other crews were caught in blazing tanks, Poole's team emerged unscathed. Not a single crew member was lost to enemy fire under his command. His leadership style combined bold aggression with careful calculation, a delicate balance between audacity and prudence. He believed in taking the fight to the enemy relentlessly, denying them the time to recover, regroup, or plan counterattacks. When the Germans entrenched, Poole would maneuver to flank, distract, or break straight through their defenses. When traps were laid, he would bait the enemy into firing first, then counterattack with precise lethality. His sense of timing was almost supernatural. Wesley Harris later recalled that Poole could call out targets before anyone else even noticed them. He simply seemed to know where the danger lay, anticipating every move with uncanny foresight. Through July and August 1944, "In the Mood" became a fixture on the front lines, a symbol of unstoppable determination. Poole's renown spread rapidly, first within the 3rd Armored Division and then across the U.S. Army in Europe. He became known as the Tank Ace of the Western Front, a title he neither sought nor desired, yet one he could never escape. War, however, spares no one. In August, an 80mm German gun near Sanden-Sursen knocked out Poole's first Sherman. The crew survived unscathed and was soon assigned a replacement in the Mood 2 Soir. When that tank fell, they simply moved on to In the Mood 3. Each time the process was methodical. Repaint the name, check the weapons, and press forward. They did not dwell on luck or fate, focusing only on the mission, the men beside them, and the relentless advance. By early September 1944, Poole had fought almost continuously since Normandy. The 3rd Armored Division pushed into Belgium, chasing retreating German forces toward their homeland. While the Allies assumed the enemy was collapsing, the Germans were regrouping, preparing for a counterstrike that would soon test every lesson Poole had learned. On September 19th, near Musterbusch, Poole led his column along a narrow road, expecting a routine pursuit. Dust and smoke hung thick in the air, and civilians waved from windows, unaware of the danger lurking. Without warning, a concealed German Panther fired. The lead tank was hit. The second, Poole's Sherman, exploded as its ammunition ignited. The blast hurled Poole from the turret, shattering his right leg. His crew survived, but their commander lay bleeding in the street. That moment marked the end of his combat service. Evacuated to England and later to the United States, surgeons amputated his leg below the knee. For a man defined by motion, speed, and power, the loss was profound. Yet Poole refused to surrender to despair. During his long recovery, he dreamed of battlefields, the roar of engines, the acrid smell of diesel and cordite, the shouts and laughter of men in the midst of life and death struggle. He understood, however, a truth many veterans never accept. His fight had ended, and a new mission awaited him. After the war, Poole attempted civilian life, running a gas station for a period, but his passion for the military never faded. He rejoined the army as a rehabilitation and training instructor, using an artificial limb to demonstrate tank maneuvers and instruct young soldiers in the principles that had kept him and his crew alive. He never sought recognition and spoke little of his combat record, always crediting his men, fortune, and faith. To Poole, war was never about heroism. It was about completing a mission and ensuring the men beside him returned home. Over the years, the legend of War Daddy Poole grew beyond the man himself. His tactics became case studies in armored warfare programs. His story inspired books, documentaries, and even elements of Hollywood films about tank commanders. Those who met him described a humble, thoughtful, and deeply patriotic man, one who never lamented what he had lost, but celebrated the extraordinary accomplishments shared with his crew. Lafayette G. Poole passed away on May 30th, 1991, at the age of 71, in Texas, his home state. He was laid to rest surrounded by family, friends, and fellow veterans who remembered him not merely as a legend, but as a man of courage, heart, and unwavering integrity. Today, his name endures as one of the greatest American tank commanders of World War II. In just 83 days of combat, he achieved feats few could match, without losing a single crew member. His legacy embodies more than victory. It is one of loyalty, leadership, and the unbreakable bonds forged in the crucible of war. Historians recognize Poole's story not just as a record of destruction, but as a testament to the human spirit within the machine. A man who mastered the art of war not for glory, but for the lives of those beside him. Through courage, instinct, and compassion, Lafayette War Daddy Poole became an enduring symbol of the American fighting spirit, unyielding, resolute, and forever remembered.